Welcome trainers, it's February, which means it's time for the second ever tournament from the SILPH Road. That means SILPH.gg is hosting their second tournament and it's called the Twilight Cup. The Twilight Cup features Poison, Fairy, Dark, and Ghost type Pokemon in Great League. Of course, in Great League, that means it's Pokemon only with 1500 CP or less. So, get open your Pokemon Go app right now. Let's see if we can look at your Pokemon as you're watching this video. Compare your Pokemon collection along with the Pokemon that I'm talking about in this video. Let's see if you have any of these Pokemon and if you can use them in a Twilight Cup. So let's start building your team. Right out of the gate, Pokemon Go Hub recommends Alolan Muk, Toxicroak, Skuntank, and Drapion for the Poison and Dark types. We're going to start with these four. So look in your Pokemon inventory and see if you have any of those. You really want Toxicroak especially because I'm pretty sure that most people in the Twilight Cup are going to be using a Toxicroak, especially since Croagunk seems to be very popular and common in Pokemon Go right now. Because Toxicroak is so prevalent in the Twilight Cup, we need to go over Toxicroak counters. So look in your inventory for Drifblim, Golbat, Venomoth, or Togetic. All of these Pokemon make great additions to your team, but some certain wild cards that you might encounter could be like Azumarill or Alolan Marowak. On your team, it's really necessary to have Toxicroak. Toxicroak, for its fast move, should have Counter, which is a fighting type move, and for its charge moves, you're going to have to invest in that second charge move of Mud Bomb, which is a ground type move, and Sludge Bomb, which is a poison type move. You're going to see a lot of Toxicroak, so make sure you understand how to use these moves. You want to use Counter, which is a fighting type move whenever you're fighting other dark type Pokemon. You want to use Mud Bomb, which is a ground type move if you're fighting any other poisonous type Pokemon, even if you're fighting a Toxicroak itself in a mirror match. And finally, you want to use Sludge Bomb, which is a poison type move against any of those fairy type Pokemon that you could see like an Azumarill. So that's why Toxicroak not only is super strong, but he's able to counter almost any opponent that he sees in the Twilight Cup arena. If you're fighting against Toxicroak, one of the best counters you can use is Togetic with Extra Sensory. Its psychic type moves will shut it down. And if you don't have Togetic, then you could use Drifblim or Golbat. All of their flying type moves will help knock out Toxicroak. Next up we have Skuntank. Skuntank should have for its fast move Poison Jab, and then for its charge moves you're going to want to invest in that second charge move because it has some really good options available to it. It's going to start out with Crunch, which is a dark type move. You got Sludge Bomb, which is a poison type move, and even it has Flamethrower, which is a fire type move. I've seen that Crunch, you can fire off so many charge moves very quickly because it's a very short charge bar, and even Flamethrower will help you out greatly. Sludge Bomb is good too, but you might just benefit from firing off more fast attacks and use Poison Jab instead of Sludge Bomb. It's up to you guys, but GoHub says that Skuntank is arguably the best tanky, dark, and poison type out of these Pokemon recommended. So if you have a Skuntank, you're going to be pretty safe going into the arena. If you're fighting against a Skuntank, you probably want to use your Toxicroak and use your ground type moves against it. And if you don't have Toxicroak, then you want to use Azumarill with Ice Beam and Play Rough. Or you could even use Alolan Marowak with a ground type move. Drapion can also wear out Skuntank with Aqua Tail. Next up, we've got Drapion. Drapion has the fast move of Infestation, which is a bug type move, and it has two charge moves. Aqua Tail, which is a water type move, and Crunch, which is a dark type move. Out of Toxicroak, Skuntank, and Drapion, Drapion is the only one who doesn't have a poisonous fast move. However, if you use Drapion to fight Toxicroak or Skuntank, this could come to your advantage because the neutral damage of the bug type move will come in handy against those other counters. Drapion has access to Aqua Tail as one of its charge moves, so if you're fighting against an Alolan Marowak, hit him with that water type move. Next we have Azumarill. Azumarill should know the fast move of Bubble, which is a water type move. It should have two charge moves, Ice Beam, which is obviously an ice type move, and Play Rough, which is a fairy type move. This will allow you some coverage with your movesets. Next up we have Togetic. Togetic should have the fast move of Extra Sensory, which is a psychic type move. It should have two charge moves, Aerial Ace, which is a flying type move, and Ancient Power, which is a rock type move. Togetic holds a great matchup against Toxicroak, so it's going to be one of those Toxicroak counters. Togetic will end up being better than Togekiss in the Twilight Cup. Why? Because of the various moves that it can know for its move pool. Check out Extra Sensory, which is a psychic type move. This is really going to whittle down those poison type Pokemon like Toxicroak. Also, it has a flying type move and a rock type move. Next up, we've got Alolan Marowak. Alolan Marowak should know the fast type move of Hex, which is a ghost type move. And for the charge moves, it should know Bone Club, which is a ground type move, and it should know Shadow Claw, which is a ghost type move. If you're using Alolan Marowak to counter Toxicroak, make sure you watch out for Toxicroak's ground type move. And also you need to watch out for Azumarill when it uses Bubble. Next we have Alolan Muk. Alolan Muk should know Poison Jab, which is a poison type move for its fast move. And for its charge moves, it should know Dark Pulse, which is a dark type move, and Gunk Shot, which is a poison type move. Next up we've got Golbat. Golbat should have the fast move of Wing Attack, which is a flying type move. It should have 2 charge attacks, Poison Fang, which is a poison type move, or Shadow Ball, which is a ghost type move. These attacks end up being really great and slightly better than Crobat too, kind of like Togetic versus Togekiss. Golbat's Wing Attack actually will end up charging faster than Crobat's Air Slash, so that way you're going to get off more flying type attacks faster with your Golbat. You're probably going to be using Golbat as your Toxicroak counter. So what are you going to counter Golbat with? That's when you want to switch out to your Togetic and use those rock type moves to take it down because remember, it's a flying type. Next we have Drifblim. Drifblim should know Hex, which is a ghost type move for its fast moves. For its charge moves, it should know Icy Wind, which is an ice type move, Shadow Ball, which is a ghost type move, Ominous Wind, which is a ghost type move. Drifblim can be a counter to Toxicroak. However, you have to be careful because Drifblim doesn't have anything to hit Toxicroak with that could be super effective. Hex ends up being able to charge Icy Wind super fast, so that's going to be the #1 way that you can take out Toxicroak with Drifblim. Pokemon Go Hub actually recommends Shadow Ball over Ominous Wind. Note that flying Pokemon are weak to ice type moves, so if you're fighting against a Drifblim, you're going to use that Alolan Ninetales or an Azumarill and use their ice type moves against it. Next we have Venomoth. Venomoth, for its fast move, should know Confusion, which is a psychic type move, and it should have 2 charge moves. The first one being Silver Wind, which is a bug type move, and Poison Fang, which is a poison type move. Venomoth's Confusion is a huge counter to Toxicroak. You only need about 4 Confusions to be fired off before the Toxicroak is seriously lacking a lot of health. If you're fighting against dark type Pokemon with Venomoth, be sure to use Silver Wind. That bug type move will power through. Venomoth is weak to flying and psychic type Pokemon, so if you have a Togetic, be sure to use it against Venomoth. A few Pokemon that you might have in your inventory which might do really well in the Twilight Cup. For fairy types, you've got Clefable, Alolan Ninetales, Wigglytuff, Mr. Mime, Togekiss, Azumarill, Granbull, Gardevoir, and Mawile. And out of this fairy type list, we already know that Azumarill has been really amazing in PvP regardless of the Twilight Cup. So check it out. If you have a great Azumarill, or maybe you have a great Azurill, or even a Marill sitting in your collection that you'd be willing to evolve up into Azumarill, check that out for sure. Definitely one of the top tier Pokemon out of the fairy types. Let's take a look now at poison types. We've got Venusaur, Beedrill, Arbok, Nidoqueen and Nidoking, Crobat, Vileplume, Venomoth, Victreebel, Tentacruel, Muk, Alolan Muk, Weezing, Ariados, Quillfish, Dustox, Roserade, Swalot, Skuntank, Drapion, and Toxicroak. This is a lot of Pokemon from the poisonous family, and let's take a look at them really quickly. Venusaur with Frenzy Plant is going to be a great asset to your team. Arbok is just okay with his new moveset. We also know Nidoqueen is actually performing better than Nidoking. Crobat is okay, but we also know that Golbat might get in a little bit faster movesets than Crobat. Venomoth with Silver Wind is also really amazing. Tentacruel ends up being a tank if you use him as an anchor in the 3rd position of your party, because if he goes last and your opponent is out of shields, he's ending up looking very good too. Alolan Muk is looking very strong. Quillfish is ending up being a very good starting Pokemon out of your lineup. So if you put Quillfish in the first spot of your party, it's going to fire off so many attacks before your opponent even has a chance to use their first shield. Quillfish is ending up being really amazing. Dustox is great. Roserade is great. A lot of people have been using Swalot and Skuntank. Skuntank and also Toxicroak have ended up being really, really big powerhouses for the Twilight Cup. So let's take a look at our dark types. Alolan Raticate, Alolan Persian, Umbreon, Houndoom, Tyranitar, Mightyena, Shiftry, Absol, Sharpedo, Cacturne, Crawdaunt, Honchkrow, Weavile, Alolan Muk again, Skuntank again, and Drapion again. So once again, Alolan Muk, Skuntank and Drapion. We've seen those in both categories and they're all really amazing. They perform great in the Twilight Cup. Drapion's okay, but for sure you're going to see Alolan Muk and Skuntank. Those two have been performing really well in all the other battles that I've seen so far. As for these other Pokemon, you're probably not going to see them as much, but you want to know how to counter these dark types. And finally, let's take a look at the ghost types. Gengar, Alolan Marowak, Banette, Dusknoir, Mismagius, Spiritomb, Frostlass, Drifblim, and Sableye. Good luck, trainers, but I hope that this video could help you guys at all. I hope that you have good luck on your Twilight Cups. If you guys like this video even a little bit, be sure to smash the like button. I want to say thank you guys so much for watching and good luck in your Twilight Cups, and I will see you guys in the next video. See you guys then.